Good evening and welcome. Thank you for tuning in to 5 Live. I'm Pooja Shali. Exactly 7 days ago, as we speak, confirmation started to trickle in. 22nd April from Jammu and Kashmir. It was a terror attack, and with every hour, more and more horrifying details and eyewitness videos started to emerge. Eventually, a confirmation. 25 Indian civilians, one Nepalese citizen, targeted, brutally killed by Pakistan-sponsored terrorists. An attack that Kashmir Valley, that India hadn't seen in decades. And not just India. The world was watching in shock as survivor accounts, especially women, children, detailing the targeted attacks, the brutality, the scale of the massacre that shocked the entire nation. For the next few days, every city was in mourning, from Kashmir to Kerala. Last rites were being performed by the family members in distress, in anger, leaving behind, remember, especially women and children to tell the tale. Immediate condemnation also came from US President Donald Trump, French President Emmanuel Macron, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, Russian President Vladimir Putin, all of these videos that the world was watching too. Most of these leaders called up Prime Minister Narendra Modi in solidarity and support in fight against terror. Protests erupted across the world. Indian diaspora led candlelight vigils in different cities. These videos bore a mark for every Indian across the world watching. The hunt is on for terrorists even after a week. All eyes will be on the Modi government, on the strategy against Pakistan once and for all. But as India prepares a response, think of the family members, the survivors, the eyewitnesses, not just on what they were forced to watch, deal with, but the shock and trauma that will be with them for years to come.
लेकिन दिन में एक बंदा पीछे से आया और उसने गोली साइड में रख के उससे पूछा हिंदू है कि मुसलमान मुसलमान है तो पहले कलमा पढ़ के दिखा जैसे हमें पता ही नहीं हम पीछे पलट के देखेंगे हो क्या रहा है हम उसकी तरह स्माइल करके पूछे भैया क्या हुआ अरे हिंदू है मुसलमान मैंने कहा हिंदू पढ़ दे पहली गन उसी पे चलाई
मेरा बेटा और बहू बैठे थे स्नैक्स वगैरह खा रहे थे तो पीछे से आए ये आतंकवादी और इन्होंने पूछा हिंदू हो कि मुसलमान हो तो उन्होंने जैसे हिंदू बोला है वैसे तुरंत गोली मार दी सर पे मेरी बहू कहने लगी मुझे भी मार दो तो उन्होंने कहा नहीं तुम जाओ मोदी को बताना तुम्हें नहीं मारेंगे और फिर उसके बाद बाकी लोगों को गोलियां चलाई को और फिर और आ गए तो तब तक ये लोग भागे जान बचा के किसी तरह ये लोग
वो सब किसी से पूछ रहे थे कि मुस्लिम अगर आप मुस्लिम नहीं हो गोली मार रहे सीधे मेरे सामने उनने 6 लोगों को गोली मारी उनसे सिर्फ इतना पूछा मुस्लिम किसी ने बोला हाँ तो कलमा पढ़ के बताओ और अगर कलमा भी पढ़ दी उसके बाद उसने बोला कि अपने नीचे के कपड़े खोल के बताओ और उनने बोला कि खातून नहीं है तुम्हारा तो सीधे गोली मार दी वो 15-15 साल के बच्चे हैं वो कम से कम 4 लोग थे वो सेल्फी ले रहे थे अपने सर पर कैमरा लगा के आए थे
Even 1 week later, more and more videos are emerging. Horrific new video of the Pahalgam massacre that has now surfaced. Remember, every day, a video from eyewitnesses, from survivors, but only reflective of the horror. Look at this. For the first time on camera, we now know, again, another aerial view. That is perhaps the closest visual of the terrorist firing at innocent people. A man on a zip line. Families, children enjoying. This is on a vacation, many of them on the last day in Kashmir. Moments when terrorists gunned down the first shots that were fired. In the past 7 days, remember, you've heard survivor accounts, there have been videos. But these videos, look at the movement of this terrorist. People, remember, taking a bit of time, the tourists, not realizing what's happening. You can see, look closely on your screen, how he comes. He targets a man who is seen falling to the ground after the gunshot. It's the same visual when you can also see a man on the zip line. Now a viral video of that eyewitness from Gujarat. Imagine yourself in this situation and the horror, surrounded with beautiful mountains in this meadow of Baisiran. Innocent families using their hard-earned money for a vacation in Kashmir. and this happens. Remember, people, pause for a second and then realize what's happening. Let's listen in. Notice carefully that possibly unlike other tourist spots in the Kashmir Valley, this is not densely populated. There are few tourists on a trek when they reach Baisaran enjoying these moments in the Kashmir Valley, but enough number of people to forever live with trauma for the rest of their life. Among them, 26 who were so brutally attacked. Arvind Ojha joins me. Mir Farid is joining me as well. Farid, I come to you first. As I look at this visual, this is just an addition that a week later, more and more videos that are coming in, and it's shocking to say the least. What are you picking up from this visual?
Well, Pooja, we know there were thousands of tourists, at least 1.5 to 2,000 in that meadow that day. And we know when you are in a spot for excursion, you will definitely take pictures, and that too when in Baisaran, one of the most beautiful parts of Kashmir. So you will find more and more such videos coming out as the days go on, and they will only narrate the scenes of horror, the kind of carnage that happened that day. Now this is another aerial view, the zip line. We're seeing people who were on the zip line at that time taking these videos, and while they have no idea what's happening on the ground, but these videos, these cameras do capture the scenes on the ground. Yesterday also, we brought this video for our viewers, and you could in that video also see people falling, people running helter-skelter, some falling, obviously being hit by gunshots. So these are horror videos, and as you rightly said, these memories, these scars will haunt the survivors for the rest of their lives. Now this is not something it's very easy to get over. They'll remember this, and this is absolute horror. And as I said, more and more videos come out, and they tell you about the military-style execution that these terrorists of Lashkar, the TRF squad, did. They got people, in fact, encircled them, got them on their knees, and from very close range they kept shooting. The intent was to shoot on the face because they wanted to send a message of brutality, gory
Farid,
pictures that
look at this image. I want the viewer to look closely on your screens. The man, the terrorist, is not running. He's not in panic. He's walking at ease. They've done their recce. They realize that there will be no place to walk, hide, run. He comes in, he knows there is a group standing there, and there are women and children. There are innocent men having a great time of their life there on vacation. And then you hear gunshots and you see a man falling. This, remember, is the latest video. It's never been seen before. Of course, investigators will be looking at this one as well that you're watching on India Today. I want to take you to the video that everyone's been talking about. And we'll put the videos together. The video that came in yesterday. An eyewitness from Gujarat who was accidentally recording a selfie video because he was on a zip line. But that for the first time brought us an aerial view of how he did not realize, he was unaware. But underneath, below on the ground, there were people running, helter-skelter, people falling. And that's when you realize that is when the first moment of the massacre was happening. But what also caught everyone's attention was when he started to come on the zip line, the operator who pushed him on the video chants Allahu Akbar. We are not making any conjectures, but you can hear gunshots in the background. Many are asking if the operator realized the gunshots were happening at that point. Why did he not stop? Did he not realize? What was it? Did he know too much, or did he know a little bit more? He's being questioned by the NI. Two visuals on your screen, and both of these videos are from a vantage point. Very different from the eye line, remember, because this gives us an idea. Just imagine people are running for their life as that man on your screen, that terrorist, walks in with assault rifles, and what is on agenda for him? To massacre, to kill as many men as possible, specifically from the Hindu community. Sadly, they successfully managed to implement that. I want to bring in Arvind Ojha on this. Arvind, दो वीडियो अब हमारे स्क्रीन्स पे है और बहुत ही क्रूशल रहेंगे ये इन्वेस्टिगेशन पर्पस से, बट आपके हिसाब से, आपके अंडरस्टैंडिंग से, क्योंकि आप भी ट्रैक करके बायसरन गए हैं, जो वहाँ का माहौल था या जिस तरह का वो टेरेन है, ये टेररिस्ट भागते हुए नहीं आ रहा है, ये आराम से चलते हुए आता है और लोगों को मारना शुरू करता है।
देखिए, सबसे पहले बता दूं कि ये इनपुट था और ये जो अब जानकारी आई है 1 से 7 अप्रैल के बीच ये जो टेररिस्ट हैं इन्होंने रेकी की थी होटल्स एरिया की, ये एजेंसीज को जानकारी मिल चुकी है, नंबर 1। नंबर 2, जो ये इलाका है इस इलाके की प्रॉपर रेकी की गई है। जब हम ट्रेवल करके इंडिया टुडे की टीम यहाँ पर पहुंची थी, 1 घंटे लगे थे पैदल जो स्ट्रेट पहाड़ी है कम से कम 6 किलोमीटर की, वहां पर जाने में। तो टेररिस्ट, उनको ये मालूम था, एक तो यहाँ सिक्योरिटी नहीं होती है तो कोई रिटेलिएट करने वाला नहीं है, दूसरा अगर हम टेरर अटैक करते हैं सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस भी आती है तो कम से कम उनको पहुंचने में हाफ एन आवर तो लगेगा ही लगेगा। तो प्रॉपर रेकी की गई है और बहुत ही आराम से यहाँ पर किलिंग को अंजाम दिया गया है। तो और नंबर 1, नंबर 2, किसी को ये मालूम नहीं था वहां पर, क्योंकि पहलगाम में कभी टेरर अटैक नहीं हुआ है, इस वजह से लोगों को उम्मीद नहीं थी कि यहाँ पर इस तरह का टेरर अटैक होगा। शुरुआत में 1-2 गोली चलती है, उसके बावजूद भी किसी का ध्यान नहीं जाता है। उसके बाद लोगों को लगता है कि पुलिस वाले आ गए, उसके बाद जाकर ये पता चलता है कि टेरर अटैक हो गया है। और जो इन्वेस्टिगेशन की डिटेल्स इंडिया टुडे ने एक्सेस की है उससे तो यही पता चलता है कि जो टेररिस्ट है उन्होंने पूरी प्लानिंग की थी। एक टेररिस्ट एग्जिट गेट से सबसे पहले एंट्री करता है, वहां पर फायरिंग करता है। अगर आप विजुअल्स देखिए तो जो विजुअल्स में जिप दिखा रहा है वो जब ट्रैक करके आप दूसरे साइड जाते हो वहां एग्जिट गेट है जहां से सबसे पहली फायरिंग हुई थी। एक टेररिस्ट वहां से आता है और ये प्लान का हिस्सा था। अगर एग्जिट गेट पे फायरिंग होती है तो लोग बचने के लिए कहाँ भागेंगे? एंट्री गेट पर, और वहां से बाहर जाने की कोशिश करेंगे। लेकिन एंट्री गेट पर 2 टेररिस्ट है और वो फिर लोगों को इकट्ठा करके वहां पर उनकी किलिंग शुरू कर देते हैं। तो ये कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है, ये प्रॉपर रेकी करके प्रॉपर प्लानिंग के तहत लश्कर ने ISI के बिहाफ पे ये अटैक किया है।
This is absolutely horrifying. I can imagine what possibly could unfold. Remember, this could have been anyone, irrespective of political, ideological differences among states. Remember, this was a targeted attack, and how? And this could have been any Indian. Remember that. When you talk about this incident there in Baisaran, the brutal, evil massacre that happened. I request Fareed and Arvind to please stay on with me. More and more visuals coming in daily and is reflective and reminding us what unfolded on the ground. The aftermath is visible. Horrific videos that are emerging. India Today has accessed another video from the 22nd April Pahalgam terror attack. A tourist riding the zipline over the Baisaran Valley has caught everyone's attention. He unknowingly filmed the horror. He didn't even realize till he was in air about what exactly was happening. Only when he landed and there was his wife and child already there, they in fact revealed, and of course then he saw the dead bodies and the gunshots that he heard and saw people dropping dead. But the disturbing visuals that have come in are also raising a point on this one operator who has turned controversial. Why did he use the term Allahu Akbar? Did he hear the gunshots? If he did, why did he push this tourist onto the zip line and not pull him back? There's been, of course, remember, an understandable panic as well among tourists that can be seen on the ground who are running for cover. For the first time, this aerial view shows us what exactly was happening on the ground. Rishi Bhatt is a survivor, had that miraculous escape, which he'll possibly remember for his lifetime. He also spoke to India Today, but he also cast aspersions. Remember, we are not doing it. He, as an eyewitness and a survivor, said that he also got suspicious later. Why was that chant Allahu Akbar used? That wasn't used for any of the other family members or other tourists, but only when he was on the zip line and when the gunshots had started. Amid all of this, remember, the National Investigation Agency has detained, I can confirm to you, the zipline operator. He's been called for questioning. They'll possibly want to find out later what exactly happened. More and more details that come in, more and more eyewitness accounts that the investigators are looking at right now. The National Investigation Agency has been talking to a number of people, especially the local residents, who can help piece together right now about what happened and the suspicion as much. How can Pakistan terrorists manage to carry this out? But I want to bring your focus now to one specific suspected terrorist that the intelligence agencies are looking at. His name is Hashim Musa. Now, agencies believe that he's not simply a radicalized, brainwashed terrorist, but a former regular in the Pakistan army. He received advanced combat training and, of course, is currently on the run. Because the manner in which the massacre was carried out, the precision with which people were targeted, clearly showed that it's not just about the intent. There was training involved as well. M4 rifles were used, military skills to evade capture. Intelligence agencies are indicating Pakistan could plan more attacks as well. Here's a detailed report to help you understand 1 week on what is the government, the administration and our security forces up to with regard to nabbing these terrorists. The sketch of terrorist on your screens is that of Hashim Musa, a trained Pakistani army commando sent by Pakistan to butcher innocent tourists in Pahalgam. Hashim Musa was a regular of the Pakistan army and is trained in armed combat. Agencies believe that he and at least 3 other terrorists shot innocent tourists in the head from point-blank range using M4 carbine assault rifles. Investigators believe that Musa, with an expertise in unconventional warfare, survival tactics and mountain combat, has so far been evading one of the biggest manhunts launched by the armed forces in the jungles around Pahalgam. The hiding terrorists have so far stayed away from villages, even for food and water. The NIA investigation has revealed chilling details of the horrific Pahalgam killings. Investigation revealed that 2 of the terrorists were in traditional Kashmiri ferens, while 2 were seen in tracksuits. According to eyewitness and survivor accounts, terrorists split the tourists into Hindus and Muslims, asking them to recite the Islamic verses or the Kalma. The ones who could not had fire opened on them, especially from the Hindu community. The initial investigation report that India Today has exclusively accessed reveals 2 terrorists shot at fleeing tourists right at the exit gate. Most of the targeted killings were at the local tea and the Bhelpuri stall near the exit and entry gates. After the massacre, the terrorists fled into the forest areas after the attack and jumped over a boundary wall.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Meanwhile, this viral video could prove to be a crucial evidence for the National Investigation Agency. The zipline operator, who was caught on camera chanting Allahu Akbar while the gunshots are being heard, is under the NIA lens and has been called for questioning.
आपने पूछा अपने भाई से ये कि जब जीप चला रहा था तो नारा क्यों लगाया?
सर जी वो पूरा कन्फर्म नहीं है, क्योंकि उनको जब वो आवाज आई है वो इसी के लिए आ रहा है। उनको पूरा पता भी नहीं था। वो जिपलाइन जब राइड कर रहे हैं तो वो उनको छोड़ रहा है, क्योंकि उनको खुद भी पता नहीं है। आप वीडियो में देख लीजिए एक बारी सर, क्योंकि वो बेक खुद ही जा रहा है, बेक वो खुद आराम से बैठ के है वहाँ पे सर।
अच्छा
जी,
जब मेरा लड़का और मेरी वाइफ नीचे पहुँच गई, मैं जिपलाइन में बैठा था, तब फर्स्ट फायरिंग हुई थी और आफ्टर 20 सेकंड के बाद मुझे पता चला कि नीचे फायरिंग हो रही है और लोग मर रहे हैं। तो फिर जैसे मैं नीचे पहुंच गया तब मैंने देखा कि मेरे वाइफ के सामने 2 लोगों को रिलीजन पूछ के गोली मार दी है।
One question remains. How long before India brings the Pahalgam attackers to face law for killing 26 innocent people? With Arvind Ojha, Mir Farid and Kamaljeet Sandhu in Jammu Kashmir, Bureau Report for India Today. My colleagues Mir Farid and Arvind Ojha have been consistently tracking updates, perspectives that are coming in, voices from the ground. Farid, I want to first come to you about this mention that has come in from the agencies that they believe that this is not simply about a terror attack, which it was, but that there could be hard-trained, possibly Pakistani army commandos who were involved in the terror attack, like Hashim Musa's name is coming up. Why do the agencies believe that this had army regulars too from Pakistan?
Just simply because of the style of execution, the kind of ruthless, cold-blooded way they kept on shooting people, in a sense, right on the face. Now, this is not something that a person or a cadre, for example, someone from Kashmir who picks up the gun and next day is told to do it. That's not possible. That's why sources in the security apparatus say that this has to be a very well-planned operation where hardcore people who have a lot of training, battle-hardened people have been sent who previously may have also conducted this kind of operation somewhere. So that is the thinking, that's the way this investigation is being taken. And obviously, as far as the local contact is concerned, they have been used as navigators, some people who provide logistics, take them to one place or the other. So that's their role. But the main executors are non-local, FTs as they called, and in fact this we can also correlate with what's been happening in Jammu, this new deadly phase of militancy where in Jammu also from the last 2 years you've seen similar attacks, same modus operandi, and obviously they're taking on the army, same weapons, same kind of training, and the same inputs that they have been trained by SSG, that's that is services group of the Pakistan Army Elite Commando Unit. So you can clearly relate the two. Pooja?
Very interesting. Thank you for that update, Fareed. And let's take a look also of what the NIA is up to. What are the initial probe details that India today has accessed? The terrorists, and this is as per eyewitnesses, accounts and videos that have surfaced. I want to take you through one by one, or what are some of the details that we have accessed. Now, there were clearly multiple terrorists, the number ranging from 4 and more. 2 terrorists, according to the eyewitnesses and survivors, were wearing track pants, track suits. 2 terrorists wore traditional garb, traditional ferens that Kashmiris are known to wear. Now, this is important. Remember, this is also because they may be Pakistan-sponsored terrorists, they may be Pakistani terrorists, but they've been in those jungles for some days now. So it was also an attempt to not get noticed, to appear to be mixing in with the local Kashmiri population. That is possibly why they were in the traditional feren. Remember that at least 3 terrorists confirmed to have gunned down the tourists. There could be a number more than that. That's what the investigators are looking at. Videos, photographs, any crucial evidence that the investigators can possibly have will add on to not just the timeline, but of course to be able to nab them. Terrorists, according to all eyewitnesses, remember, from across the country who our reporters have been speaking with, have said that the tourists were segregated, Hindus and Muslims. They were asked to recite the Islamic verses like the Kalma. Most of them expectedly failed the test and then were fired at point-blank range, on the head, in front of their mother, wife and children. 2 terrorists also shot fleeing tourists. This is very important. The terrorists knew that the tourists do not have a place to hide or seek shelter. They will run towards the gate. There were terrorists already at the gate as well. That is the level of recce that was done. Casualties primarily were at the temporary stalls. Remember, this is not a very developed area. It takes a trek to reach Baisuran. So there were temporary tea and bhel puri stalls. The initial eyewitness accounts also said they were just enjoying a plate of bhel puri, sipping a cup of chai when these terrorists barged in. And some of the terrorists, of course, then managed to jump the boundary wall and flee. 25 eyewitnesses have been recorded, and more details that are coming in on this. My colleague Arvind Ojha is joining me. Arvind, tell us more about the questioning that is being done of these 25 and more.
देखिए पूजा, सबसे पॉसिबल है कि चौथा भी हो, लेकिन 3 की फिगर पिक्चर अब एनआईए के पास है। नंबर 1, नंबर 2, एग्जिट गेट से पहली फायरिंग होती है और एग्जिट गेट से एक जो टेररिस्ट है वो एंटर करता है, जबकि एंट्री गेट से 2 टेररिस्ट एंटर करते हैं और ये प्लान का हिस्सा था, क्योंकि जब 25 गेट से फायरिंग होती है लोग
Arvind, आपका ऑडियो में थोड़ा इशू है. I'll come back to you in just a minute. I just want to take you through this video as Arvind joins us again. Remember, about 25 individuals who have been, at least these are accounts that have been recorded, but there'll be many more. The NI, remember, the teams that are on the ground are also speaking to the local residents. The chai seller there, the Bhelpuri tea stall owners, the poniwalas, all of them will also be questioned. And this is not just about suspicion. This is about eyewitnesses. They are locals. They'll possibly have more information on what exactly happened. Any information would be of assistance here. Sketches have been released. We have put out AI-generated images. There are 20 lakh rupees cash reward that has been put out as much. If anyone has any information and can contact the local police and more. But remember, because our colleagues have consistently been tracking about the strategy at play here of the how the NI is going ahead, because NI is a very crucial responsibility. They need to piece together a timeline. They need to find out what happened. And as Arvind returns with us now, Arvind, जैसा कि आप बता रहे हैं, और ये सवाल भी मैं आपसे पूछूंगी, समझना बहुत जरूरी है कि टी सेलर को, पोनी वालास को, जो लोकल्स हैं अभी वहां पर, उनको किस मद्देनजर रखते हुए जो एनआईए की टीम्स है वो अब क्वेश्चन कर रही हैं, स्पेशली इस ऑपरेटर को जिसको बुलाया गया इस वीडियो के बाद.
जी बिल्कुल, देखिए मुजम्मिल को क्वेश्चन कर रही है एनआईए की टीम. जो एनआईए के ऑफिशियल हैं उन्होंने इंडिया टुडे को ये बताया है कि अभी तक उसकी कोई डायरेक्ट इन्वॉल्वमेंट नहीं लग रही है, लेकिन जब गोली चल रही थी उस दौरान उसने जिप से जो गुजरात के भट्ट साहब है उनको आखिर क्यों छोड़ा, इसको लेकर वो अलग अलग स्टेटमेंट दे रहा है. इस वजह से जो क्वेश्चनिंग है वो अभी लगातार जारी रहेगी. उसके अलावा जो घोड़े वाले वहां पर होते हैं, बाकी जो टी सेलर, जो वहां पर भेलपुरी वाले हैं, कुल मिलाकर 50 ऐसे लोग हैं जिनसे पहलगाम पुलिस स्टेशन में एनआईए की टीम पूछताछ कर रही है. मकसद दरअसल आपको बताऊं, वो जो इलाका, उस इलाके में कोई सीसीटीवी फुटेज नहीं है. एक एक करके जो वीडियो सामने आ रहे हैं वो वीडियो कहीं ना कहीं बहुत काम आ रहे हैं सिक्योरिटी एजेंसी के लिए, इन्वेस्टिगेशन में बहुत काम आ रहे हैं एनआईए के लिए भी. इस वजह से जो आसपास के लोग हैं, विक्टिम्स, 25 विक्टिम्स के जो स्टेटमेंट है, जो आई विटनेस भी हैं, वो रिकॉर्ड किए गए हैं. लेकिन बाइसरन में जो लोग काम करते हैं उनकी जो इंफॉर्मेशन है वो काफी क्रूशियल होगी इन्वेस्टिगेटिव एजेंसी के लिए. इस वजह से उनका स्टेटमेंट रिकॉर्ड किया जा रहा है. साथ ही साथ क्या वहां पर काम करने वाले किसी की इन्वॉल्वमेंट तो नहीं है, ये भी पता लगाने की कोशिश एजेंसीज कर रही हैं. पूजा.
Arvind Ojha, Mir Farid, thank you very much for consistently updating us. And remember, I can tell you, these are senior officers of the NIA who are currently on the job. They have experience with regard to Jammu Kashmir, so make no doubt about it, they'll be able to get to the bottom of this. But any evidence right now, any mention, how did the terrorists look like? What did they ask? What was the dialect, tone? What was it about their behavior? Any information that can reach the NIA or the investigators will boost not just the probe, but perhaps to understand how did these terrorists manage to pull off this massacre. And a lot of questions, remember, still unanswered about, despite the security arrangements and all the efforts in the past 5 to 6 years, how was this loophole used by Pakistan terrorists? But this is also a turning point as I move on to our next segment for India, to be able to now make the world aware once and for all about what Pakistan truly is about. India has done it over the years, but this time, at the United Nations, and especially after Pakistan Defense Minister Khwaja Asif making all sorts of bizarre statements, but also, is it honesty, is it slip of tongue? Because he on camera admitted to funding and supporting terror groups over the years. India is ensuring that the world knows about it now. India's Deputy Permanent Representative Yojana Patel labelled Pakistan a rogue state at the UN and said that Pakistan continues to fuel global terror and instability. She was speaking at the Office of Counter-Terror meeting. Here's what Yojana Patel said.
It is unfortunate that one particular delegation has chosen to misuse and undermine this forum to indulge in propaganda and make baseless allegations against India. The whole world has heard Pakistan's Defense Minister Khwaja Asif admitting and confessing Pakistan's history of supporting training, and funding terrorist organizations in a recent television interview. This open confession surprises no one and exposes Pakistan as a rogue state fueling global terrorism and destabilizing the region. The world can no longer turn a blind eye. I have nothing further to add. Thank you.
So remember that speaking to an international channel, Khwaja Asif had earlier said that we are doing the dirty work of the USA, referring to sponsoring, sheltering terror and much worse. I wonder what the USA has to say to that. But that's not it. The Defense Minister, Khwaja Asif, also gave this important statement. He said, an attack by India or an incursion by India appears imminent. This is despite the fact that India hasn't responded in any way with regard to military approach right now. Listen in.
There is a likelihood that India will attempt an incursion in Pakistan and will engage Pakistan militarily. That is a possibility, a very clear and stark possibility. Cannot be ruled out.
And remember, this is at a time Pakistan realizes what it's really dealing with. There have been, as we move on and out of the Kashmir Valley, massive protests have been reported from Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, Gilgit-Baltistan and other areas right now. There have been a protest, a massive protest, in fact, I would say unprecedented in days really for Pakistan, with regard to mines and minerals bill. The locals are opposing the military control of the natural resources in Gilgit-Baltistan, which is heavy when it comes to natural resources. And there's been protest earlier as well, but the numbers in which people have come out to protest is massive, to say the least. Pakistan Army has been accused of illegally grabbing the land. The Pakistan Army has been accused of exploiting natural minerals. There's clearly an expected anger because, remember, the China-Pakistan corridor will likely go through this route. China is investing heavily. There have been attacks in the region as well, but we are looking at how more and more people, and remember, for Pakistan, it's not easy to be protesting against their military, yet the people are coming out on the streets on that. And that's why I want to take you now to the anti-Pakistan uprising in Gilgit-Baltistan and Pakistan-occupied Jammu Kashmir. Protests are erupting in different parts of Pakistan right now, or should I say Pakistan-occupied regions. This is apart from, remember, how the Baloch people have been consistently for years raging against Pakistan military and their oppressive presence. The unrest highlights a deep-seated anger over economic deprivation, military control and human rights violations. As public clearly rises against Pakistan establishment, intelligence inputs have revealed that Pakistan Army is even vacating some of the known terror launch pads. Terrorists are now reportedly being shifted to other areas, and don't be surprised if these are army-controlled bunkers even for the terrorists and their groups. Amid all of this, remember, the role of military under General Asim Munir has been in question. The developments expose a growing internal rift and increasing pressure on the military, on the establishment and more. A nation dealing with its own created mayhem. There is an important aspect when it comes to the Kashmir Valley this time. It was for the first time, possibly in over 3 decades, that the entire Kashmir Valley also, by themselves, voluntarily decided to organize a shutdown. For reasons we had not seen earlier. To unanimously condemn the Pahalgam terror attack, the whole valley came out on the streets, or a shutdown or a messaging. A terror attack sponsored by Pakistan, and Kashmiris also decided now to come forth and take a stand against that terror attack. Many of you may know that unlike an earlier muted response to even the act of terror, this time, look at that. These are visuals on your screen, all on camera. From Srinagar to Anantnag to Baramulla to border areas, there were candlelight vigils, protests, even loud, angry sloganeering and against Pakistan. This also marks a historic turning point and a reminder that local Kashmiris are realizing that Pakistan has been no friend to them. Because also among those killed was a Kashmiri Muslim, Sayyid Adil Hussain Shah. He was also not spared, brutally killed apart from 25 Hindus and Christians. Also, there's a fact that just when Kashmir's tourism was getting back on track and starting to thrive, it has taken a massive hit. I can confirm to you, mass cancellations have been reported. Families across India that have understandably, because of fear, distress, anger, have cancelled or at least postponed their travel plans because of this Pakistan-sponsored attack. But it is the livelihood of Kashmiris that has borne the brunt. The economy that was beginning to stabilize, life that was beginning to become better. Kashmir was witnessing a collaboration between the government and the people to take the valley ahead. So a reminder what Pakistan has done to the people of Kashmir too this time. But here I say that Kashmiris are sending out a message, and we need to listen to that too. That they stand with India, they stand against Pakistan, they welcome normalcy, and this will be an important factor to keep in confidence. This is the sentiment on your screens, ladies and gentlemen, that will help defeat Pakistan, that will help defeat terror. If you're wondering what is the reason that Kashmiris are also out on the streets this time, especially for a message with regard to against Pakistan, because J&K was witnessing and was on a road to peace and normalcy, at least in the past 5 to 6 years. It's undeniable that the efforts that were put in. Tourism was booming in Jammu and Kashmir. I must tell you, and I want to quote here from the economic survey that was tabled in the Jammu Kashmir Assembly. Between 2021 to 2024, over 7 crore 49 lakh tourists visited J&K in the past 3 to 4 years. Amid this, specifically for the Kashmir Valley in 2024 itself, 34 lakh, possibly approximately 35 lakh tourists had visited Kashmir. This includes the Amarnath Yatra in the Kashmir Valley, other events that were organized. Also, there is then Vaishno Devi in the Jammu region as a whole of J&K. But 35 lakh tourists, according to the data that had come in for Kashmir Valley. But apart from that, tourists had been going to Kashmir earlier too. What was so different in the past 5 to 6 years? No curfew nights, no shutdowns, no mass stone pelting, no disruption of daily life. Especially for the younger generation, schools and colleges were becoming functional. Education was back on track. Think of the infrastructural development. There were massive level of road and rail projects that were either being inaugurated, announced, implemented. It was making the life of people of J&K much easier. Then, most importantly, came the employment opportunities, new startups, opportunities that were pushing the livelihood ahead. Many businesses that had reopened. Younger generation was taking a chance to not have to leave the Kashmir Valley for greener pastures. Then, remember, international conclaves were being organized. The G20 tourism meeting was organized in Kashmir in 2023 in the month of May. A huge security risk, but it was organized and it went on successfully. If there were cinemas being opened, there were a lot of new marketplaces that had come up. There was peace in border villages. Mortar shelling wasn't a common norm anymore. People were beginning to live normal lives and a hope for peace. And that's one of the reasons that you see that Kashmiris came out on the streets this time to send a message against Pakistan-sponsored terror attack. It has impacted one and all in different ways. So therefore now, look at the visuals that are coming in on your screen. Amid all of these, at the iconic Old Zero Bridge that's also been renovated, it's become a new joint with regard to the younger generation. The next generation is also as much in anger, but they're also united. Mir Farid decided to reach out to some of the younger voices of the Kashmir Valley. Let's listen in to what do they have to say.
People from all shades of life coming here, but today even this place is deserted. Reason? We all know the Pahalgam terror attack has shaken one and all. It has derailed the tourism season, but more than that, it has hit the people right in their heart. People are shocked, and Kashmir has risen against it in unison. All shades, all walks of life, be it businessmen, be it civil society, be it politicians, everyone has come together to condemn it unequivocally. This time around, this is a departure, because if you talk of Kashmir of say 10, 15, 20 years back, such an incident would be met with muted responses. For various reasons, I don't want to go into that. But right now, people are hurt, they are one in condemning this. Now, we wanted that our discussion today should be apolitical. That's why we've got youngsters, Gen Next, who are doing very well in their own fields. We have Mr. Nasser, who is a road safety expert. Then Mr. Firdaus Baba, again a social activist. And then you also have Nasser, who again is doing a great job when it comes to bringing the issues of the Kashmiri students who right now, many of them are
Right, big news coming in. Look at that. The big meeting that had happened at Prime Minister Narendra Modi's residence. That's the big news coming in. A high-level meeting. And you can see from the images on your screen. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, the CDS, the NSA, Ajit Doval as well. Of course, remember, officers from the Navy, Air Force, the Indian Army. This is one of the most crucial meetings that we are looking at. Of course, the details not out. Ashok Singhal joins me for the latest on that. Ashok, इस मीटिंग के बारे में हमें बताइए, कब ये मीटिंग हुई थी, क्या डिटेल्स आपको आ रही हैं, और ये एक्सक्लूसिव इमेज शायद बहुत कुछ दर्शा देती है। जो सबसे टॉप लीडरशिप में है, फौज में है, वो आज बैठे हैं प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी के साथ, बातचीत हो रही है।
देखिए, प्रधानमंत्री जो बैठक हो रही है उसमें रक्षा मंत्री राजनाथ सिंह है, सीडीएस है, एनएसए हैं और ऑल आर्म फोर्सेज चीफ्स इसमें मौजूद हैं। पूरा स्थिति का जायजा लिया जा रहा है जो पहलगाम में हुआ। उसके बाद से लगातार प्रधानमंत्री अपडेट्स ले रहे हैं, जानकारियां ले रहे हैं और खुद राजनाथ सिंह भी अलग अलग मीटिंग्स कर रहे हैं अपने सेना के अधिकारियों के साथ, बाकी फोर्सेज के जो भी अधिकारी इसमें जो मौजूद हैं। प्रधानमंत्री ने भी ये बैठक बुलाई है अपडेट लेने के लिए कि कितनी तैयारी है, क्या है जानकारियां, क्योंकि सर्च ऑपरेशंस लगातार वहां चल रहे हैं पहलगाम और अलग अलग इलाकों में। उसको देखते हुए एनआईए अपने तरीके से जांच कर रही है। एनआईए की जो टीम वहां पहुंची हुई है, जो लोग वहां मौजूद थे मौके पे, लोकल्स, उनके साथ भी बातचीत की जा रही है, उनसे भी पूछताछ की जा रही है। तो प्रधानमंत्री लगातार जो हालात बने हुए हैं भारत और पाकिस्तान के बीच, उसको देखते हुए लगातार जानकारी और अपडेट और मीटिंग्स कर रहे हैं अपडेट लेने के लिए, और वहाँ पे क्या हालात हैं और किस ढंग से स्थितियां बनी हुई उसको देखते हुए।
अशोक, आप हमें बताइए, बहुत उम्मीद है मोदी सरकार से, कहीं ना कहीं जो भरोसा है कि वो कुछ एक्शन लेंगे पाकिस्तान के खिलाफ, लेकिन ऑफ कोर्स क्लैरिटी नहीं है, अंडरस्टैंड, लेकिन जो गुस्सा भी है एक लोगों में जो हुआ, उसके बाद एक स्ट्राइक होनी चाहिए, एक्शन होना चाहिए। तो डिटेल्स आई अंडरस्टैंड ना, हम अभी देंगे आगे, सेंसिटिव है, लेकिन जब रक्षा मंत्री बैठते हैं, नेशनल सिक्योरिटी एडवाइजर बैठते हैं, फौज के जो 3 सीनियर मोस्ट ऑफिसर्स हैं वो बैठे हैं, तो ये मीटिंग माना जा सकता है पिछले एक हफ्ते में सबसे क्रूशल है, बिकॉज अभी तक सेपरेटली मीटिंग्स हो रही थी, अब ये सब साथ बैठ के ये बड़ी मीटिंग, जिसकी ये इमेज एक्सक्लूसिव इंडिया टुडे पे अभी सामने आई है। अशोक
देखिए, बिल्कुल प्रधानमंत्री बार बार ये कह चुके हैं, बिहार की धरती से उन्होंने कहा, उसके बाद मन की बात में कहा कि हम किसी को बख्शेंगे नहीं। जो जिन्होंने ये काम किया, जो आतंकवादी है, उनके साथ साथ उनके आकाओं को भी सबक सिखाया जाएगा, बख्शा नहीं जाएगा किसी को भी। और पहले भी आप देखिए कि सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक्स हुई, डिप्लोमेटिक स्ट्राइक्स तो पिछले दिनों सीसीएस की बैठक हुई थी, उसके बाद निर्णय लिए गए थे पाकिस्तान के खिलाफ, लेकिन अब मिलिट्री एक्शन लेना है और सरकार अपनी मंशा साफ कर चुकी है कि किसी को छोड़ेंगे नहीं, सबक सिखा के रहेंगे। अब वो समय दिन प्रधानमंत्री सरकार तय करेगी कब करना है, लेकिन पूरा देश इस वक्त गुस्से में है कि आतंकियों को और उनके आकाओं को सबक सिखाना चाहिए, पाकिस्तान के खिलाफ कार्रवाई करनी चाहिए। प्रधानमंत्री भी बार बार कह चुके हैं, तमाम मंत्री, चाहे वो गृह मंत्री हो, रक्षा मंत्री हो, सबने एक ही बात कही है कि हम छोड़ेंगे नहीं, बदला लिया जाएगा। 26 जो निर्दोष लोगों की हत्या की गई है, उनको टारगेट किया, खून बहाया गया, उसका बदला जरूर लिया जाएगा। इसी सिलसिले में लगातार प्रधानमंत्री हैं या दूसरे चाहे रक्षा मंत्री हो, गृह मंत्री हो, लगातार बैठकें कर रहे हैं, चीजों को आंकलन कर रहे हैं और रणनीति बनाई जा रही है कि आगे क्या करना और कब करना है। लेकिन इतना जरूर है, प्रधानमंत्री अपनी मंशा और इरादे साफ कर चुके हैं कि बदला जरूर लिया जाएगा, बख्शा नहीं जाएगा। लेकिन हमको इंतजार करना पड़ेगा समय और दिन का कि कब वो करते हैं, लेकिन सबको उम्मीद है कि कुछ ना कुछ जरूर होगा।
अशोक हमारे साथ बने रहे। हिमांशु मिश्रा ऑल्सो जॉइन्स मी नाउ, क्लोजली ट्रैक्स द गवर्नमेंट। हिमांशु, ये जो इमेज आई है, जो प्रधानमंत्री के रेजिडेंस पे ये मीटिंग ऑर्गेनाइज हुई है, दिस कम्स जस्ट आवर्स बिफोर द सीसीएस मीटिंग, कैबिनेट कमिटी ऑन सिक्योरिटी अफेयर्स, सीसीपीए मीटिंग से पहले, तो ये तो बहुत क्रूशियल मीटिंग मानी जा रही है।
देखिए, बिल्कुल बहुत ही क्रूशियल मीटिंग है, क्योंकि कल सीसीएस की दूसरी बैठक होनी है पहलगाम अटैक के बाद, और उसके बाद जो है कल ही सीसीएस की दूसरी बैठक है, उसके बाद कैबिनेट कमेटी ऑन पॉलिटिकल अफेयर्स की बैठक है, जिसको प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी चेयर करते हैं, और इस पर पॉलिटिकली डिसीजन लिए जाते हैं। यानी कि आप एक्सटर्नल अफेयर और इंटरनल अफेयर्स को रिलेट करके जो समसामयिक विषय हैं, जो करंट अफेयर्स हैं, उनके ऊपर जो फैसले लेने होते हैं वो पॉलिटिकली अफेयर कमेटी लेती है कैबिनेट की। पॉलिटिकल अफेयर कैबिनेट कमेटी जो है वो बहुत कम मीटिंग्स होती हैं। उसके बाद जो है सीसीए की बैठक है, जिसमें कैबिनेट कमेटी ऑन इकोनॉमिक अफेयर्स की बैठक होगी, और फिर कैबिनेट। एक तरीके से देखा जाए तो ये बैठक बहुत ही क्रूशियल, क्योंकि लगातार जो है प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी इस तरीके की बैठकें कर रहे हैं। सीसीएस के बाद खुद रक्षा मंत्री की मुलाकात करना सीडीएस से, और उनसे जो ब्रीफ मिला, उसके बाद खुद राजनाथ सिंह जो रक्षा मंत्री हैं, उन्होंने कल प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी के साथ 40 मिनट बैठक की और तमाम विषयों के ऊपर डिस्कशन किया, और जो फीडबैक था वो लिया। और आज जो है जिसमें रक्षा मंत्री खुद मौजूद हैं, सीडीएस हैं, एनएस से अजीत डोभाल, और तीनों ही सेनाओं के जो चीफ हैं वो यहाँ पर मौजूद हैं खिलाफ, और उनके सरगनाओं के खिलाफ क्या कार्रवाई होगी ये कहना मुश्किल है, लेकिन कार्रवाई की तैयारी जो है वो चल रही है, और इसीलिए लगातार इस तरीके की बैठकें हो रही हैं। और इससे एक चीज साफ है
जी, फिनिश योर पॉइंट हिमांशु, फिनिश योर पॉइंट।
लेने के लिए तैयार भी है।
All right, joining me now, India Today's managing.
सरकार बिल्कुल।
Yes, Himanshu. Okay, I bring in India Today's managing editor Gaurav Sawant on that. Gaurav, this image on our screens right now has precisely the decision makers on so many levels. Tell us about the participants in this meeting, so to say, and how before the CCS, before the CCPA meeting tomorrow, this will hold a lot of crucial importance, and anybody's guess what was discussed in this meeting.
Look, it's been a week of very fast-paced developments that are taking place, and the Prime Minister getting first-hand information, not just from the three service chiefs, also the assessment of the Chief of Defence Staff and National Security Advisor with Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh there. What's been happening? Look, Pakistan Air Force has just started Lalkar-e-Momin and Fizai-Badr, two massive exercises along the India-Pakistan border. They're quickly moving men and material closer to the borders, whether it's their electronic warfare equipment, whether it's their radars, whether it's their fighter planes, or even their ground forces. There have been a series of ceasefire violations on either side of the Pir Panjal. Just this morning in the Lipa Valley sector, Pakistan Army has targeted some of the Indian Army positions, and they're making those images, sending them viral in their own country, spreading them around to send across the message, because somewhere down the line, the impression in Pakistan is that an Indian attack is imminent, that Pakistan is on the defensive. The impression in Pakistan is that their civilian leadership does not want this conflict to escalate, but General Asif Munir, their army chief, who's actually cornered after the Pahalgam terror attack, and the fact that questions are now being asked within Pakistan of one, his activities, two, activities of his relatives. So he wants to escalate this conflict. Now, in all of this, what should India's response be? What has India's response been so far, and how does this escalate? And of course, the discussion on escalation matrix. The assessment in India is that we are on top of that escalation matrix when you deal with the situation. But when you have a radical Islamist Maulana masquerading as their army chief, who sees this as a religious war, look at the names of their exercises even right now. Lalkar-e-Momin. It's
good point.
So
yes.
it just goes on to show what their mindset is. They're comparing this to the Badr operations and all of that. So that's the kind of mindset that Pakistan is moving forward with, and India is just perhaps wargaming the road ahead here.
Gaurav, we're request to stay on. Shivani Sharma closely tracks the Defence Forces, also is joining me. And of course, we're not putting out any sensitive information, that's obvious to say the least. But Shivani, this is also a reminder. Pakistan would be watching this image too, looking at this, and they're already rattled. They're already moving their radar system to the border, even though India hasn't made any mention at all of the military strike. But this image is defining in so many ways. All eyes on Modi government.
Pooja, this was the second continuous day when Prime Minister Narendra Modi is taking stock of the situation. Rajnath had met Prime Minister yesterday. This was a 40-minute long meeting, and today again we were reporting about some multiple counter-terror attacks that the Indian Army and the security forces were taking on at different locations. The locations were not to be disclosed because of the sensitive nature. But now, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi is taking briefs from not only the CDS, Raksha Mantri, the NSA, the three chiefs, it means that something big is transpiring. And tomorrow is again the second CCS in a week. So this is important to understand that India is preparing for some action, and some action is still going on ground, which is not disclosed as of now. And there will be a right time when India will be disclosing what's going on, and India's strategy goes on in its place. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi, most importantly, is taking the personal monitoring, personal brief of the whole operation that still goes on even as we speak, Pooja. So this is very important to mention out here, that in past 1 week, there have been multiple meetings, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been involved in all these meetings. And today, again, for the second day, he's meeting the Defense Minister along with the NSA, the CDS, and the all service teams.
Stay on with you, Shivani. Gaurav, I have a question for you. We look back at every time that Pakistan has tried to harm us, whether it's Pulwama, for example, and other incidents as well. How do you think then Modi government, with all eyes right now on him specifically, the trust is on the Prime Minister leading the nation, precisely what kind of a response do you think the government will intend to go with? We've already done the diplomatic strikes. Pakistan is expecting a military strike. Do you think India will look at all options possible, not just the strike that Pakistan expects?
So there shouldn't be a strike when Pakistan expects one, because Pakistan then would be ready for one. Let Pakistan sweat it out for some time. The manner in which Pakistan is right now sweating, this nervousness just reflects, Pakistan's state of mind. Their ministers are panicking. Every day they're holding one briefing after the other, meeting after the other, and saying, an Indian attack is imminent. They're rushing to global capitals seeking intervention. So they realize that something will happen, and they're not ready for it. Remember, Pakistan calls India, and look at the kind of language that was used by their minister Hanif Abbasi, referring to Indians when he uses words like Makar Baniya or words on those lines when he talks about India. But look at the reality of Pakistan. They've actually removed their own war wastage reserves or their stocks of ammunition and sold them to Ukraine to make money there. And these are intelligence inputs that are available even with India. There are reports that have been filed in Western media that Pakistan withdrew its own stocks, its own reserves, what its own army was holding, and sent them to Ukraine because they wanted to make a quick buck, but they haven't been able to replenish them. Now, if you think they think they'll fight a war when they haven't even replenished some of their ammunition, it's a joke, and they know it, and they know that India knows this and the world knows this. That's point one. Point two, the amount of flying hours that they're using on their fighters right now, it's interesting to see how many life extensions they would be giving both to the engines and the airframes when push actually comes to shove. What kind of ammunition will they have? All of this is effectively war game, because war is not bachcho ka khel, that he's done something today, so India has to do something tomorrow. You don't respond in hot blood. Revenge is a dish that's best served cold. So you wait, let him sweat it out, let him make the mistakes he's making. He also has internal troubles that he's facing from Gilgit-Baltistan to Balochistan, and then strike at a place and time of your choosing. That perhaps would be the best strategy.
And already Pakistan not expecting the visa cancellations, the water treaty in abeyance and other decisions, and perhaps a reminder that that's what the government's approach will be. Slow and steady, and hit when Pakistan does not expect it. Thank you very much. Gaurav Sawant, Shivani Sharma, all our colleagues on the ground. This is the big story right now this evening. Look at this image. I'm leaving you with this visual. The discussions that have possibly unfolded in this room at Prime Minister's residence, 7 LKM in Delhi, and a strategy that Pakistan would clearly be wondering about. Thank you for watching.